I just made my introduction video, so you might have already seen that. This is my first review, and it's actually, if you did notice by the opening sequence, it is Twixt. It is a 2011 movie written and directed by Francis Ford Coppola, starring Val Kilmer, Elle Fanning, and Bruce Dern. This review is a bad one. I had a legitimate reaction at the end of the movie of, what the f*** am I watching? Okay, let me just start with my code of 6. Character build-up, out of 10, I gave it a 3. Pretty much this whole review is generous. 3 just because you saw a little bit of backstory about Val Kilmer's character. So it gets a 3 out of 10 because you saw about his daughter. But other than that, there really wasn't anything else that you really cared about. His wife, the sheriff in the town, the girl that died, there's nothing that mattered character build-up wise. I didn't care about any of them. Didn't even care about Val Kilmer, but at least he had a little tiny bit of backstory. Overall plot is a 1 out of 10 because holy crap, I have no idea what was happening in that movie. I don't know. There was so many sequences of him going into his head and writing the story and seeing all these events unfold. Then it would snap to now with this strange town, and across the lake there's these kids that think they're vampires, and there's people missing and people get staked. I don't understand. But then you go in the dream world and there's this girl named V, and she was actually the only reason why I watched the movie, because I saw the trailer and I thought that she was really cool looking, and really she's dressed in that cool outfit that you see over here for like maybe 20 minutes, not even. So that was really worthwhile. Ending, it's a 1. I have never seen someone have such a lack of imagination for the ending. It literally just, number 1, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this. If you've ever seen Dracula Dead and Loving It, which I love that movie, there's a blood spurt when they kill Lucy, and it's hilarious. They had that blood spurt at the end of this movie, and that's when I had the what the f*** am I watching moment, because seriously, what am I watching? They had that, and then it abruptly cut to him handing this book that he had written over to his publisher and smiling. Then it cuts to black screen with useless writing on it that tells you what happened to everybody, even though really you didn't care to begin with. There was no thought process in the end of that movie. I honestly don't think Francis Ford Coppola had any idea what he was doing at the end of that movie. I don't. It was about this crazy town that had this mystery of people getting staked in it. Then Edgar Allan Poe showed up, and there was this weird hotel, and Val Kilmer was roaming around the fog, and there's this chick called V, and his daughter, I don't know, it was so bad, and it left you with the concept of, okay, there's a moment, and I don't want to give spoilers away, but then again, I don't want you guys to see this movie anyway, so, I don't know. There's the sheriff, and it leaves you questioning at the end kind of everything that happened in the fantasy world and the real world. It's like, well, did that really happen? Is that who this guy was? If that makes any sense, it doesn't, I know, but it left you with a lot of questions and really no answers, and kind of writing on the screen at the end that made no sense. Visuals, 3 out of 10. The dream scenarios that he had really weren't worth anything. There's a lot of bad green screen. There's a couple scenes with V and this kid named Flamingo on a motorcycle, and the green screen background with the road going by was so cheap looking, and at one point she flies away, and you can tell that she's pretty much suspended on something, and the camera's just going like down over her, and she's flying, and it's just, everything's just so cheap looking. It's like one step, not even quite above sci-fi original pictures. So it's a 3 out of 5. Makeup and costume, I give it a 4, and 4 is being generous. the only reason why it gets a 4 is because of Elle Fanning's costume in that brief moment when she's V. I like the hair, I like the white, the bone white face with the red smear under the eye, and she has blue eyes, and it made it really cool looking, and I love the outfit, but that wasn't worth the whole movie at all. And the rest of the costumes were just regular. I'm really only rating costumes on the really cool looking ones, like the science fiction looking ones, fantasy looking ones. You know, some guy in a sheriff uniform and Val Kilmer walking around with a button-up shirt and a coat. I really don't care about those costumes. They're just regular everyday clothes. But Elle Fanning gets a 4 for her costume out of 10 for the whole piece of the movie. Sound really doesn't qualify. There really wasn't anything stunning sound-wise in that movie. When the ghost would talk, you would hear this weird echo, which sounded really cheap. It gets a 2 out of 10 simply because the last song in the credits, Nosferatu, is kind of cool. It also sounded like a bunch of goths in a basement. But, so the whole movie gets a 2.5 out of 6. The only highlights were the blood spurt from Dracula Dern loving it, because at that point I was so done with the movie, and then suddenly there's a fountain of blood. I'm like, where did this come from? It had no need to be there. I was totally into the movie in the beginning when it first started because I love Tom Waits. And as soon as it opened and you heard that gravelly voice describing this town, it was like, damn, it's Tom Waits. And I was like, this movie's gonna be great. There's this 7-faced clock in town, which really in the end means nothing, but it looked really mysterious and cool because all the faces are different times, so you never really know what time it is, but you can see the clock from anywhere in town. So Tom Waits describing this clock and this creepy old rundown town with this creepy ass clock. I was like, this movie's gonna be great. And then he had the first fantasy sequence and Edgar Allan Poe showed up, and I was like, well, this sucks. But that is my review. If any of that makes any sense, this is the first review I've done, obviously, so probably have to rein it in at some point. But it's still under 10 minutes, which I'm really happy about because I have a tendency to really ramble. So it gets a 2.5 out of 6 for the reasons that I've explained. I highly, highly advise you to stay away from this movie. It is not worth your time. And yeah, leave your comments below if you've either seen it or you were interested in it. If you have any questions about anything, if you want to know what I was talking about with the whole thing about the sheriff and there's this guy and the fantasy sequence and well, did that what really happened? If you want to know any of the spoilers, let me know below and I'll either PM you or I'll just write them out and you can read them at your own, choosing. So, that is it. I will see you next week probably with the next review. I don't know what it is yet. I'm still having fun playing with Netflix, but we're not playing Name It yet, so don't list any movies below you want me to review because I'm not doing that yet. I got plenty that I want to talk about. I will see you, and yeah, 2.5 out of 6, not worth your time, really not. No, don't watch it.